Hi Gems, welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot and welcome to your second half of March reading. Oh, you guys got a lot going on, huh? A lot of big decisions right now. That's a lot of the North Node energy for you. I think that's a lot of the focus. You know, you also have Saturn, which is moving out of your 8th house, which is going to create such a sense of relief for you. But Saturn's going to move into your 9th house. So an ingress into your 9th house, while you have a North Node moving into your 1st house, means that you're probably up for a large transformation. As the nodes get ready to move into Gemini, they tend to stall out in those early degrees. And we had eclipses at these degree points earlier in December, so you've had a taste of this energy already, and now it's coming back for an overhaul. And there's things that you need to decide. Second house matters. These are big decisions in your life, and they're about kind of what you want in your life, what you value, what's really important to you, because you've got to get that right before the ingress of the North Node into Gemini on May 5th. So really you're looking at about a month and a half of major life changes that are coming. And I think a lot of the stuff that's headed your way you really don't know about yet because of the Uranus and the Venus being activated in that 12th house. This is like subconscious desires coming out. You may be trying to move in one direction, which is kind of what the cards are talking to me about, and yet you're being pulled in another one, and it feels as if you're having to decide between two completely different worlds at this time. And so that creates a lot of panic and a lot of anxiety over, you know, am I making the right decisions? But in this energy, as the sun moves into Aries, which is your 11th house. That's a house of your wishes and your dreams and your gains. And again, more focus on what you really want. And a lot of times when that happens, it brings light on your connections with others. Now, Aries in your 11th house means that you strive for individuality amongst your connections. And there's a lot coming through to me that my Geminis are going to be urged to take leadership roles. And the connections that you have at this time, the people that are in your lives, are very much karmic relationships that are preparing you for this leadership role. There may be levels of healing that have to occur before you can accept this responsibility. And so people may be in your life triggering this healing cycle for you. Now, in order to relieve some of that stress, you have to know that even if things are feeling really big and heavy right now, as that moon meets up with Capricorn right now in the next couple of days, what you're feeling heavy about right now isn't going to last very long. We're going to move through these cycles really quickly. However, their impact is still quite massive. And there's a level in which I think all of us are being asked to surrender to the divine right now and allow your intuition to lead you. Being a fire sign or a air sign, this is not a typical feeling for you. I think, you know, you're driven more by your vision and your intellect, and that's wonderful. As Saturn moves into Aquarius, that's going to serve us all. You have visionary leadership that you need to share with others at this time. But I've noticed, as I'm all earth and water in my chart, that as I step into the energy of my earth or of my fire and air signs, there's an element of heaviness that's hard for me, and it's like a resistance to the surrender. And you're being asked to move from a different chakra point in your body. it's a balancing where you understand, the Mars, Jupiter, and Pluto in your 8th house. Venus and Uranus in your 12th house. Geminis are getting really worked over to investigate those emotions inside, to allow yourself to feel and not be so tied to the vision. There might be some kind of a loyalty you have to yourself in the way in which you expected things to play out. And if those things aren't working well for you right now, if you're stumbling on delays or roadblocks, it's quite simply because these things aren't meant for you. And the less you resist, the easier this entire transition will be, and the more perspective you will gain for what's truly meant for you. So let's take a look at these cards. First of all, I'm going to start with these energies. There's 2 energies coming out. Again, I think there's connections in your life that are triggering you, but this is very much about the individual Gemini at this time. The Deer energy is someone you're connected to, or this can be you. This can be a piece of you that is being activated at this time. But this is someone that operates out of a place of real quiet compassion. There's a calmness. In areas of your life in which you're feeling immense pressure, there may be an odd sense of calmness to it. Quietness. And it's kind of the knowing that something brand new is being born, and that there's a fragility and a nurturing that needs to occur at this time. Maybe a self-nurturing, compassion for yourself, because there's a Zebra energy, which is telling me that there's a real vision for the future that's being ignited in you now. And it might be something that's very different from what you had originally planned on. And there's a stability in the move towards it that comes from a balance of the mind, body, and spirit, and all things working together at the same time. Ace of Pentacles in reverse with the 10 of Swords in reverse. So the delays that you're experiencing right now, or the lack of movement, what feels like nothing is happening, if you're feeling that, it's because you haven't quite let go of an older cycle. And that cycle, the not letting go of the expectations or the burdens, there's something that needs to be released in my Geminis. And it is the releasing of that triggers the 2 of Wands. There's, in the release of the old, new visions are born, and they're going to move. The 2 of Wands is your ships are coming in. You've planted the seeds and they're coming in. And the Spirit wants to remove these blockages so that you can receive it. Knight of Pentacles and the Tower in reverse. You're moving extremely slow towards something. Excuse me. And the way that these cards come out are really, really beautiful, because I feel like you're in an observing mode. You're letting things kind of come to you at this time. You're trying very hard to strategize, but I think with the Tower, again, there's a feeling like there's a sense of control that you're trying to have over the situation. And it's really just delaying that Tower moment. The Tower moment is inevitable. The change that's going to occur is inevitable, no matter how slowly you move, no matter how long you avoid the decisions. It's going to happen. And the Moon and the Wheel of Fortune tells me that there are things that are happening in the background that you aren't aware of right now, which will change the direction. it will move you naturally into the right direction. It is the release of the resistance, the release of whatever it is that you're holding on to, that kind of moves that Wheel of Fortune and allows all the pieces to start to click together. And Queen of Swords, this is you, clarified by the Hierophant in reverse. So the way this is laying out to me is that there's a vision, and that whatever's coming in now, whatever unknowns are happening and unfolding for you, whatever's coming to light is giving you the ability to have a vision for the future. And the Hierophant in reverse is telling me that you're letting go of obligations. That, again, it's the releasing of those heavy burdens of the responsibility. You know, there's could be a situation here in which you're expected to do a certain thing or live a certain way. There could be a job that you're involved in which there's a chance for you to take a promotion, and all of a sudden you start questioning whether you want to be in this job at all. Same thing with a relationship. Maybe it's time to move a relationship to the next level, and you're wondering if you want to make a commitment to this at all. There's like that fear that's coming through for all of my signs right now. It's like the cold feet kind of thing. But it has you investigating. And the Hierophant in reverse is also a warning that, you know, if you're going to make decisions to cut things out of your life, you want to be really careful that you're looking at all of the signs and you're doing it from your higher being, your inner being. If it's coming from a place of fear, it's probably not the right decision. If you're not allowing yourself to be open to the signs from Spirit, an understanding of why things aren't working out in your favor at this time, you know, just that higher perspective that what's meant to be is going to be. If you're relinquishing the control over the situation, then everything's going to flow to you naturally. And the Queen of Swords is looking right at the Ace of Swords. So there's no longer ignoring the truth of a situation. And there's no longer ignoring some form of a communication that has to occur. I think this is a feeling like you know that you need to communicate your intentions. There's a pressure here for that decision to be made. And the Ace of Swords is being clarified by the King of Wands in reverse. So whatever truth is coming out in the challenge card, it's going to make you have to make a decision, and you want to be really careful that you're not picking mind over heart. You may not want to go about this as logically as you normally would, Gemini. There's a need for communication and truth here, and there's truth about your intentions or someone else's intentions that could change the way that you look at these situations or these options. King of Wands in reverse is someone that's operating from a place of fear for me. They're kind of operating in, you know, all for one. They're going to do what's best for them. And if there's a fear of that, if you are fearing basing life decisions off of someone who maybe doesn't have the best intentions for you, now is the time where the communication has to occur. Because I think if you don't tackle that, if you don't start to investigate and take these things seriously, if you don't open up to the communication and the discovery And if you don't take your vision seriously at this time and the need to choose a direction, I think you might be up for some really hard lessons. I think that you might miss an opportunity because you're forming some kind of a boundary. And then I think your boundaries are up for review. I think in all of this healing processes, you're starting to realize that maybe where you're cutting yourself short in this lifetime is the refusal to allow other people into your world completely. Ultimately, there's going to be an awakening. Just like the zebra promises, there's going to be something that happens that really ignites you to look at something in a different perspective. This is the awakening that strengthens you so that you can move on towards the bigger and better things. Seeding the light, laying foundations, and the divine plan. So again, this is telling me that things are being orchestrated for you right now, and any sense of free will and control you may feel is really just an illusion. And I sense that there's a very big path that you are meant to be on, and with as much patience as the universe has, it simply has to get you to the right place right now. And there may need to be a forceful situation or a loss that happens that wakes you up to the need to move towards what you need and towards what you want. And overall, there's a sense of victory, but you want to be careful about where this is coming from. If your intentions are for the greater good of all, if your intentions are moving towards the involvement of others into your life, then I think, you'll be met with great compassion. You'll be met with forgiveness. And that's what's being asked of you and the people around you right now. As Gemini is starting to get their footing and starting to realize what their priorities really are and what they really want to move towards. I think the people in their lives are watching them do this and go through this and just allowing them to figure it out. But if you're coming from a place where you need to win above all, where you're willing to cut certain things off, certain connections because you feel as though they're holding you back or slowing you down, don't be surprised if the feeling of winning at the end of the day makes you feel a sense of loneliness. Because it's not about winning for yourself. It's about how we're working together now. Saturn in Aquarius is all about the direction of connection in our lives. And that's where your greatest abundance is going to come from. Ark of the Covenant. This is your Akashic Tarot. These three cards I want to take the time to read to you because they encumber a lot of different scenarios. And I want to make sure that you hear them and understand them. Two major arcanas in the Akashic again leads me to believe that you're moving into an area of big changes, of big transformation, and these decisions that you're making now are kind of getting you ready for some of the bigger decisions you'll have to make very soon. Again, May, June, and July will probably be in a very intense time for my Geminis. Venus is going to go in your sign and remain there for 3.5 months during a Venus retrograde. A lot of emotional decisions about your connections, a lot of decisions will be made, a lot of karmic reviews will be made at this time. And so the universe is just getting you on your path for that next big move. The Ark of the Covenant. The stars are shining on a serene desert night. See if you could see that, if you could focus here. Fires burn before a number of white tents. Inside one of the tents, just beyond the open front flaps, rests the Ark of the Covenant. 2 men sit by a crackling fire nearby. At the most mundane level, this card can represent beneficial legal contract or title transfer. It also can show successfully working with professionals such as brokers and lawyers. More often, it indicates that you are living true to your own karmic contract, facing your lessons of growth, working toward greater discoveries, and bringing your unique contribution to the world. Your karma does not rule you, you rule it. When the work becomes too great, taking a rest doesn't break with your covenant, it supports it. You understand the phases of time and energy, and you work within those phases. Some of your karmic directives at this time may involve other people. If so, make sure there is no urgency, need, or personal agenda in play. Don't let yourself get pulled into an emotional drama. Know that things that require your attention now reflect a commitment that has a far-reaching influence that may impact your present as well as your future lives. So continue to work toward your highest purpose, to uphold the sacred covenant you have to touch the world with your light. Wow. Much bigger things are cooking for my Geminis, and you may not even be aware of it. But I think if you tuned in, if you tuned into that higher being, I think something deep within you knows that big changes are occurring, that life is changing for you. And here's where it gets emotional. 6 of Forces, the waterfall. I really think this coincides beautifully with the Hanged Man and that zebra. A towering waterfall roars down into a beautiful body of water. In the upright position, this card reminds you of your incredible personal power and supports you in opening up to a force within. Know that you are a dynamo in the universe. You have the ability to shape any situation in any way that honors you and moves your life forward. The element of water is fluid, like the waterfall. Your personal energy never stops. Your life force is never ending. It springs from your eternal past and roars into your limitless future. Extending into the farthest reaches of the universe, it is a time of deep thought and even deeper emotions, as well as an expansion of psychic energy. Use this time to act on these and tap your power that is ever flowing. And the second major arcana card coming up for you in the Akashic Tarot is the card of 20. So you have an 11, which talks to me about divine intervention, and then a 20, which breaks down to a 2, which talks to me about connection, and that's balance from within. Again, another amazing thing is that all of your Akashics are upright. A gold crown of power and authority rests above a Celtic Trinity knot. On either side of the Celtic knot are the alchemical symbols for fire and water. Below is the ancient three-legged symbol of the coat of arms from the Isle of Man. This card brings with it a time of enormous power, balance, and expression. The first 3 rays of the energies of the divine move within you equally: power and will, love and wisdom, intellect or mind. You are working innately, even if you're not conscious of it, with the ascendant masters who are linked to these energies. With the participation of the masters, you can raise your focus to a higher power and purpose. You can combine the fire of creativity with the water of receptivity in order to make your contributions to the world. With the gold crown raised high, you're likely to find yourself in a significant position of authority and influence at this time. It is likely to be a phase of great activity, but you can handle it. With these powers in play, you're able to discipline yourself to bring together the meditation, creativity, rest, and action required. Take advantage of this time and use these powers well. They are nothing less than the divine forces moving through you so that you can manifest their power in the world. Wow. That's pretty significant. All right, Geminis. It looks like you've got this. Just remember to come at all situations with your heart, your mind, your passion, and your intuition. And tap into this energy as Mercury is still moving through Pisces. Mercury still continues through your 10th house. There's murkiness, but there's wisdom within. And don't be afraid to ask for guidance at this time because they're with you. You know, whatever you want, whatever questions you have, they're more than willing to answer if you're open to it. All right, Gemini, I hope you have a wonderful couple of weeks. I'll see you very soon for the April readings. Okay, bye.